The Sphinx gets described as a gateway. Like, there is a lot of legitimate reasons to think that there's something below that structure. They had gone in under the Sphinx and looked at chambers, and they found chambers beneath the Sphinx. Like, they 100% found chambers beneath the Sphinx. In the Sphinx temple, when you go in there is indeed evidence for shafts that go down. I think if there are chambers down there, and if there's anything in them, or there was, it's long gone.
Did you know about the mysterious Osiris shaft hidden within the Giza plateau? This fascinating archaeological site, often overshadowed by the grandeur of the Great Pyramids and the Sphinx, harbors secrets of ancient Egyptian civilization. Though known since the late 19th century, it remained largely ignored as explorers focused on more prominent monuments. But the Osiris shaft has its own story, one that has gradually unfolded over time. It wasn't until the 1990s that the Osiris shaft began to receive the attention it deserved, thanks to the efforts of Zahi Hawass, a name familiar to many.
He's documented the fact that Zahi's been enabling kind of secret expeditions digging and drilling around the Sphinx since the 1970s.
Under his direction, a thorough exploration was undertaken, revealing the shaft's complex architecture and its connection to ancient Egyptian religious thought. However, accessing the deepest parts of the Osiris shaft wasn't easy. The team had to overcome the significant challenge of draining the water that had flooded its lower levels, particularly the third level, which was partially submerged.
The same story of a great flood, which brought a former age of the world to an end.
The effort required to bring in modern equipment and remove the water was immense, but it was crucial to unveiling the shaft's hidden secrets. The Osiris shaft, with its 3 levels descending deep into the earth, turned out to be a remarkable puzzle of architecture, burial customs, and hidden treasures. The design itself is a marvel of ancient engineering, with each level serving a unique purpose. At the bottom, a large stone sarcophagus rests in a chamber partially filled with water, evoking the ancient Egyptian underworld. It's as if the Egyptians constructed their version of the afterlife deep within the Giza plateau. The second level, with its 6 empty burial shafts, adds to the mystery. Were they looted, or were they never intended to hold anything? This level offers insights into burial practices and rituals, though some aspects remain unclear. Despite the absence of inscriptions that could pinpoint who built the shaft and when, the artifacts discovered within, pottery shards, fragments of stone vessels, and other small items, suggest the Osiris shaft dates back to the New Kingdom period. These artifacts provide valuable clues, helping researchers piece together the history of this incredible structure. One of the most poignant discoveries was the mummified remains found in the smaller chambers surrounding the central sarcophagus. These remains offer a rare glimpse into the lives of ancient Egyptians, revealing details about their diets, lifestyles, and perhaps even their deaths. Let's take a moment to talk about Osiris, the ancient Egyptian god of the afterlife, death, and rebirth. According to mythology, Osiris was betrayed by his brother Set, leading to a story of death, dismemberment, and resurrection that reads like an ancient epic. His wife, Isis, reassembled him and brought him back to life, making Osiris a symbol of the eternal cycle of life, death, and rebirth. The Osiris shaft is thought to be a 3-dimensional tribute to this epic tale.
But over here we have the god Osiris from Egypt, remembered by the ancient Egyptians as a bringer of the gifts of civilization.
At the shaft's deepest point, there's a chamber filled with water, believed to represent the underworld. Standing before the large stone sarcophagus, which symbolizes Osiris's tomb, one can almost feel the connection to his journey through death and his role as ruler of the afterlife. But why was such a place built? One theory is that the Osiris shaft served as a site for initiation rites, a kind of spiritual boot camp where participants underwent trials symbolizing death and rebirth, mirroring Osiris's experiences. These rites were believed to impart secret knowledge and bring about a spiritual transformation in the initiates. Some even speculate that the shaft's design was influenced by the stars, aligning with celestial bodies associated with Osiris and the afterlife. The shaft may have been a bridge between Earth and the heavens, representing the soul's journey after death. What's truly fascinating is how the structure of the Osiris shaft and the artifacts found within echo ancient texts like the Pyramid texts and the Book of the Dead. These texts offer a window into the Egyptian view of the afterlife, complete with references to water, boats, and the importance of sarcophagi. The shaft can be seen as a stone-bound version of these ancient scrolls, a tangible connection to the beliefs and rituals of a long-lost civilization. Buried deep within the limestone bedrock, the Osiris shaft is a three-level labyrinth that masterfully combines practicality with a touch of the mystical. Let's explore what makes the architecture of the Osiris shaft so intriguing. The design and construction of the shaft are nothing short of remarkable, showcasing the advanced planning and building techniques of the ancient Egyptians. The precision with which they carved out these chambers from the bedrock reflects their deep understanding of the earth beneath them. The entrance to the shaft is marked by a rectangular opening that leads to a vertical drop of about 10 meters. This isn't just a hole in the ground, it's a carefully crafted vertical shaft, requiring the removal of large amounts of limestone using tools made from harder stones and metals, ropes, and wooden scaffolding. This feat of engineering is a testament to the skills of the ancient builders. The first chamber encountered is modest, devoid of decorations or treasures. Its simplicity might have been intentional, serving as a waiting room or a space for preparing for something more profound, deeper within, possibly purification rites. The real intrigue begins at the second level, where another shaft descends another 20 meters. This chamber is more complex, containing 6 empty burial shafts that have sparked much speculation. Were they looted, or were they always meant to be symbolic? These shafts could have been used for actual burials, or perhaps represented the journey to the afterlife. The third level is the most dramatic. Descending yet another shaft, now 30 meters below the surface, you find a large stone sarcophagus at the chamber's center. This chamber, partially filled with water from the natural aquifer, isn't just a burial place. It symbolizes Osiris's tomb, tying into themes of rebirth and purification in Egyptian mythology. Graham Hancock is a name that often sparks lively discussions about ancient civilizations. Known for his books like Fingerprints of the Gods and Magicians of the Gods, Hancock's theories often challenge mainstream archaeological narratives. Let's consider how Hancock's unconventional ideas might offer new insights into the mysterious Osiris shaft.
I think there's a lot more remains to be discovered under the Giza Plateau.
Yeah.
Hancock's theories often revolve around the idea of a lost advanced civilization, one that predates known history and possessed advanced knowledge of astronomy, architecture, and mathematics.
I believe that it's worth considering the possibility of a remote common ancestor, which passed down key information that was inherited by later cultures.
Hancock might suggest that the Osiris shaft, with its intricate design and possible astronomical alignments, serves as a time capsule from this sophisticated society. Could this ancient marvel be older than we think, or was it built with knowledge handed down from this enigmatic civilization? Hancock is also fascinated by how ancient structures align with the stars. While he hasn't specifically identified the Osiris shaft in his star maps, it's easy to imagine it fitting into his broader theories. Could the shaft's orientation indicate a connection to celestial events or constellations associated with Osiris and themes of death and rebirth?
That is who Osiris is. His image is seen in the sky as the constellation of Orion.
Hancock's work suggests that many of Egypt's ancient monuments are part of a larger cosmic blueprint, with the Osiris shaft possibly being another piece of that puzzle. One of the more dramatic aspects of Hancock's theories involves global cataclysms, particularly those caused by comet impacts during the Younger Dryas period, around 12,800 to 11,600 years ago. He proposes that these catastrophic events might have wiped out the advanced civilization he theorizes about. When we look at the water in the lower levels of the Osiris shaft, Hancock might see it as more than just groundwater seepage. He could interpret it as a symbol of the world-altering floods his hypothesized civilization endured.
Evidence of a civilization advanced beyond its time.
By day, the Sphinx gazes eastward over the desert, majestic and inscrutable. By night, under a blanket of stars, it becomes a dark silhouette of enigma. For millennia, this half-human, half-lion guardian has loomed over Giza, its carved face weathered by wind and time, yet seemingly guarding untold secrets. Legends have long clung to it like grains of sand. As far back as the Roman era, whispers spread that the Sphinx was hollow and hid the tomb of an ancient king within. Through the ages, people imagined secret vaults and treasure hoards sealed beneath its massive pores, waiting to be discovered. For generations, those tales remained unproven whispers until modern science stepped in. In recent years, archaeologists armed with cutting-edge technology finally peered beneath the Sphinx. What they found sent shockwaves through the scientific community. Ground-penetrating radar and seismic sensors revealed inexplicable anomalies under the monument, empty spaces where solid rock should be. It was as if the Sphinx itself had hollow pockets, hidden rooms lying in wait deep below the sand. News of these hidden cavities ignited a firestorm of speculation around the world. Could this be proof that the old legends were true? Mainstream experts urged caution, noting that the voids might be nothing more than natural fissures in the limestone. But others dared to dream. What if those scans had pinpointed the entrance to something incredible? What if it was the long-rumored Hall of Records itself, an archive of ancient knowledge thought by some to be buried here since antiquity? The Hall of Records, a name that has lived in myth and mystery for decades. According to lore, it's a secret library hiding the wisdom of a lost age. In the 1930s, American mystic Edgar Cayce famously claimed that refugees from the lost city of Atlantis hid their civilization's records in a chamber beneath the Sphinx. In his vision, this Hall of Records held scrolls and tablets of ancient knowledge, waiting for the day they would be rediscovered. For nearly a century, scholars and explorers scoffed at the idea as fantasy. Yet the legend never truly died, and now, with the detection of these chambers, it's back in the spotlight. Yet this isn't the first attempt to pry secrets from the Sphinx's stone embrace. Over the years, many have tried to unlock its mysteries, often with frustrating results. In 1837, British adventurer Howard Vyse drilled into the Sphinx's head in search of hidden rooms. His drill punched down 27 feet and struck nothing but air and stone. He managed to retrieve only a fragment of the Sphinx's headdress for his trouble. In the 1920s, local workers spoke of a tunnel descending into the Sphinx's hindquarters. When archaeologists cleared it out in 1980, it led down into the bedrock and ended in stagnant water, yielding no treasure, just mud and modern debris. Official excavations over the decades have found a few small passages and dead-end shafts inside the Sphinx, but no grand chamber. Nothing that confirms the Hall of Records or any great secret. Stranger still, the Sphinx itself might be a clue that something remains hidden. Its body is deeply scarred with erosion patterns that some geologists say could only have been caused by torrential rains, not just wind and sand. Egypt hasn't seen heavy rainfall like that since about 7000 BC. If those geologists are right, the Sphinx could be far older than the civilization that officially built it. This raises a staggering possibility. Perhaps an unknown culture, long before the pharaohs, carved this monument and left something important hidden beneath it. An advanced civilization lost to history. Some even whisper of Atlantis may have placed a record of its existence under the Sphinx. As researchers puzzle over these findings, the stars themselves seem to offer hints. The Great Sphinx stares due east, toward the rising sun. Incredibly, if one rewinds the sky to around 10,500 BC, the dawn at Giza would have occurred under the constellation of Leo, the lion, a lion monument gazing at a lion in the heavens, at the very epoch some believe the Sphinx was born. Coincidence, or a deliberate alignment meant to mark an era of importance? This cosmic coincidence sends a shiver down the spine. As if the Sphinx is silently telling us that its origins, and perhaps its secrets, trace back to a time and knowledge long forgotten. Today, we stand on the brink of answers. The prospect of finally exploring these hidden chambers has archaeologists and history lovers holding their breath. Imagine the moment. A team of researchers drills a small passage and inserts a camera into the darkness beneath the Sphinx. The beam of light cuts through dust that hasn't moved in millennia. Stale, cool air rushes out, carrying the scent of antiquity. The camera's light sweeps across a stone wall, and there, engraved in the rock, are symbols no living person has ever seen. The floor of the chamber comes into view, covered in sand and debris that might include ancient artifacts. In that silent space, untouched for ages, a great revelation could be at hand. What might they find in that undisturbed darkness? Perhaps shelves of papyrus scrolls, neatly stored in sealed clay jars, containing wisdom from a time before the pharaohs, or an ornate chest adorned with golden hieroglyphs, holding objects or texts that defy everything we know of Egyptian history. There could be statues, tools, or inscriptions unlike any discovered before, tangible proof of a chapter of civilization that until now existed only in myth. Even a single artifact from such a chamber could upend history. It would be like discovering the Library of Alexandria, not in ruins, but intact and far older than anyone imagined. Knowledge from an age beyond the dynasties of Egypt could suddenly come to light, shaking the foundations of archaeology and history. For now, the enigma endures. The chambers beneath the Sphinx remain sealed, their contents a riddle awaiting a willing explorer. The Great Sphinx continues its eternal vigil, gazing over the desert as it has for thousands of years, silent about what lies under its paws. But not forever. But if hidden chambers beneath the Sphinx could hold secrets, what about the mystery hiding right above us? For years, researchers puzzled over a strange, sealed hatch at the very top of the Sphinx's head. And now, it's finally been opened. What they found inside might be even more shocking.
For as long as humankind can remember, we've been irresistibly drawn to the unknown, to the exploration of places that hold the potential to rewrite the history we thought we knew. One such place is the Osiris Tunnel, located deep beneath the iconic Giza Plateau in Egypt. While the pyramids and Sphinx may steal the spotlight, this underground labyrinth is equally deserving of our attention. The discovery of this tunnel system surprised many, not least because it seemed to appear out of nowhere, hidden beneath the sand and forgotten over millennia. It was as if the Earth had suddenly opened a door to the past, offering us a glimpse into an age that continues to fascinate us, the age of the pharaohs. And it's not just any past, but a past that involves Osiris, one of the most significant gods of ancient Egypt. Osiris was the god of the afterlife, the underworld, and resurrection. The tunnel's central tomb, the so-called Tomb of Osiris, is a compelling artifact, a subterranean cenotaph that plunges 29 meters into the earth. The sight of this deep, water-filled shaft with its 4 pillars is eerily suggestive of the myth of Osiris's death and resurrection. It's a powerful reminder of the mythic grandeur that once pervaded ancient Egyptian culture. But the question that intrigues us all is, why was it built? Was it merely symbolic, a tribute to the great god Osiris? Or did it serve a more practical purpose? Perhaps even as a place of ritualistic communication with the gods? And then, there are those who believe that it might not have been the Egyptians at all who constructed this marvel. Could it be evidence of a long-lost civilization or extraterrestrial involvement? In the sands of Egypt, the Osiris Tunnel opens up more mysteries than it resolves, and yet its discovery has provided us with an incredible opportunity. What's truly striking about the Osiris shaft is its complex architecture. The entrance itself is modest, an unassuming square opening on the Giza Plateau, leading downward through a narrow corridor. But as we delve deeper, the engineering marvels of ancient Egyptians become manifest. The shaft is divided into 3 levels, each separated by a couple of dozen feet. The first 2 levels house 6 and 5 burial chambers, respectively, all of them intricately chiseled out of the bedrock. Not only that, but each burial chamber has been carved with an attention to detail that is truly astonishing. The smoothness of the walls, the precision of the angles, all speak of a level of craftsmanship that would be remarkable even today, let alone in an era before modern tools and technology. Descending further to the 3rd level, we find ourselves in a larger, more open space, partially filled with groundwater. Here lies an empty sarcophagus, its lid ajar, and curiously carved directly from the bedrock. The construction of this level particularly baffles researchers. The builders dug about 30 meters into the bedrock, right below the water table, which means they had to devise some way to keep the water out while they worked. How they achieved this remains a mystery, a testament to their problem-solving abilities and their remarkable understanding of the local geography. In the very design of the Osiris shaft, we find a mirror reflecting the engineering ingenuity of the ancient Egyptians. But beyond that, these subterranean chambers embody a sense of purpose and intent, a deliberate planning that lends credence to the belief that this was not merely a burial site, but perhaps something much more significant. It's these mysteries of construction, intertwined with the enigma of its purpose, that continue to draw researchers to the Osiris shaft, ever eager to uncover its secrets. The nature of the Osiris shaft has given rise to a myriad of theories and speculations. What was its true purpose? Who was supposed to be entombed in the shaft? The depth and complexity of the structure suggest a purpose of great importance. Some Egyptologists posit that it was a symbolic tomb for the god Osiris, given its name and the role that the god Osiris played in ancient Egyptian cosmology. However, alternative theories also abound, particularly in the realm of the speculative and the esoteric. The Osiris shaft's deep connection with the ground and its location in the Giza plateau has led some to propose that it might have been a conduit for harnessing telluric currents or earth energies as part of a wider network of such structures across ancient Egypt. Then there are theories that veer into the realms of the fantastical, suggesting an extraterrestrial influence. They argue that the complex and advanced engineering of the Osiris shaft could only be possible with knowledge or technology from a non-human source. These theories often converge with ancient astronaut hypothesis, positing that early civilizations had contact with extraterrestrial beings who influenced their cultures and technologies. And finally, there are theories that the shaft might have served as a repository for sacred knowledge or treasures, waiting to be discovered. The empty sarcophagus in the third level, for instance, fuels speculation that it may have once held something of great significance. While these theories are intriguing and often capture public imagination, it's important to remember that evidence to conclusively support any of them is currently lacking. As such, the Osiris shaft continues to be a mystery, its true purpose buried deep within the annals of time, waiting to be revealed. The Osiris shaft's alignment is another topic of fascination, puzzlement, and intense debate among scholars and enthusiasts alike. The tunnel, along with other significant structures on the Giza plateau, aligns with the cardinal directions north, south, east, and west. Such alignment might not seem out of the ordinary until we consider the degree of precision achieved by the ancient builders. North-south alignment in particular draws significant interest. This alignment, as observed in many Egyptian pyramids and other constructions, is seemingly done with an extraordinary level of accuracy that is hard to achieve even with modern tools. It is suggested that this alignment was achieved using the stars, as the North Star, Polaris, would have been a reliable reference point for the ancients. Moreover, the alignment of the shaft to these cardinal directions lends credibility to the theory that it was built with a cosmological purpose in mind. In ancient Egyptian belief, cardinal directions had a deep spiritual significance. North was considered the direction of the gods, the divine realm, and the celestial river, while south was associated with the land of the living. East and west, on the other hand, represented sunrise, life, and sunset, death, respectively. Some alternative theories go even further, suggesting that the alignment of the shaft is part of a larger pattern encompassing the Great Pyramids, the Sphinx, and other structures, possibly forming a terrestrial map of the stars. This line of thought often aligns with the ancient astronaut hypothesis, where proponents argue for extraterrestrial influence in the design and construction of these ancient structures. While these speculations can be exciting and thought-provoking, it's important to note that none of them have been definitively proven. The alignment of the Osiris shaft continues to be a topic of exploration and research, providing more questions than answers. The mystery of the Osiris shaft deepens when we consider that its entrance was once sealed. This fact has raised eyebrows and stirred further speculation. Why, some ask, would archaeologists seal off such a fascinating structure? As always, there are several theories to consider, each with its own implications. The first explanation might be the simplest: preservation. Archaeological sites around the world, particularly those as significant as the Giza plateau, are frequently sealed to protect them from the ravages of time, environmental factors, and human interference. By limiting access, archaeologists can ensure these important sites remain intact for future generations to study and appreciate. Second reason might be safety. The Osiris shaft is not just an underground structure. It's a deep 3-level vertical tunnel. Without proper equipment and preparation, it could pose significant risks to inexperienced or unauthorized individuals who might attempt to explore it. A third perspective leans towards the more conspiratorial. Some argue that the sealing off of the Osiris shaft could be an attempt to hide something. This theory often dovetails with the idea of a vast underground network of tunnels and chambers yet to be fully discovered or disclosed. The idea here is that sealing the shaft could serve to limit public awareness or scrutiny. Regardless of the true reason, the sealing of the Osiris shaft adds yet another layer of intrigue to this ancient enigma. Whether it's about preservation, safety, or potentially concealing the secrets of a lost civilization, we may never know. But one thing's for certain, the Osiris shaft locked away beneath the Sphinx and the Giza plateau continues to captivate our collective curiosity. As much as the allure of ancient mysteries and conspiracy theories tend to fuel our collective imagination, it's also important to consider the views of skeptics. The skeptic's perspective is rooted in the principle of Occam's razor. The simplest explanation, that requires the fewest assumptions, is usually the correct one. In the context of the Osiris shaft and its alignment, skeptics offer a less sensational perspective. Skeptics would argue that the precision of the north-south alignment, while impressive, isn't necessarily evidence of a grand cosmic design or extraterrestrial influence. It's worth noting that the ancient Egyptians had a deep understanding of astronomy and used it routinely in their architectural planning. They had the means and knowledge to achieve a high degree of precision in their alignment. Furthermore, the idea that the shaft was part of a sophisticated system of tunnels under the Giza plateau, some believe, could be an overinterpretation of what may simply be a series of ancient tombs, as they are traditionally understood. Critics of more outlandish theories often point out that proponents frequently neglect to provide satisfactory explanations for how these theories fit within the broader context of ancient Egyptian culture and practices. The skeptic's perspective does not discount the marvel of the Osiris shaft. Instead, it emphasizes that understanding the true significance of such structures is often more complicated and nuanced than it might initially seem. The extraordinary aspects of the Osiris shaft can still be appreciated without attributing them to alien architects or lost civilizations. In fact, doing so allows us to more fully appreciate the remarkable capabilities of our ancient human ancestors. And so we find ourselves at the end of this labyrinth of theories, facts, and speculations. The Osiris shaft, in all its mystique and grandeur, continues to provoke questions that keep us on the edge of our seats. From intriguing construction mysteries, conspiratorial ideas of a lost civilization to the very rationale behind sealing this ancient marvel, the Osiris shaft reminds us that history isn't just a finished book. It's an ongoing narrative, ripe with puzzles left unsolved, ripe with stories yet to be told.
The NYU researchers, led by Leif Ristroff, conducted a laboratory experiment aimed at exploring the potential of wind erosion to sculpt rock formations into recognizable shapes. Specifically, they investigated whether a naturally occurring, roughly conical mound of material with a harder inclusion, representing the head, could be eroded by a consistent, unidirectional flow of water, simulating wind, into a form resembling a seated lion. Their model used a mound of bentonite clay, a material known for its susceptibility to erosion, with a short cylindrical piece of plastic embedded near the top to represent the harder rock that makes up the Sphinx's head. This model was placed in a water tunnel, and the flow was carefully controlled to come from a single direction, mimicking a constant wind. Over time, the water eroded the clay, creating a neck-like structure below the head and rudimentary pores at the base. The researchers documented this process using streak-like imaging, showcasing how the flow sculpted the clay. The experiment did demonstrate that, under these highly specific and controlled conditions, a vaguely leonine shape could emerge. This led the researchers to suggest that a similar process might have occurred at Giza, with natural wind erosion creating a proto-sphinx that later inspired and guided the final carving by ancient Egyptians. While the NYU experiment is scientifically valid within its own parameters, its applicability to the actual Great Sphinx is severely limited, and indeed, fundamentally flawed. The experiment's assumptions clash dramatically with the well-established historical and geological realities of the Giza plateau, realities meticulously documented over centuries of archaeological and geological investigation. The most glaring discrepancy lies in the very foundation of the Sphinx. The NYU model presupposes a freestanding mound, exposed to wind from all sides. The Great Sphinx, however, sits within a deeply quarried hollow, carved down into the bedrock of the Giza plateau. This is not a minor detail. It is the defining characteristic of the monument's creation. The Sphinx's pores, which emerged naturally in the experiment, were in reality painstakingly excavated by human hands, a testament to the immense labor and planning involved in the project. This practice of quarrying massive amounts of stone is a hallmark of Old Kingdom Egyptian construction, evident in the pyramids, the valley temples, and countless other monuments. The very act of creating the Sphinx enclosure removed any pre-existing natural formation that might have vaguely resembled a lion. The NYU experiment relies on a crucial and ultimately incorrect assumption: a constant unidirectional wind. The winds at Giza, both today and in antiquity, are far more complex and variable. Meteorological records, as well as historical accounts of sandstorms and wind patterns, demonstrate that Giza experiences winds from multiple directions, subject to seasonal shifts and unpredictable gusts. This variability would have prevented the formation of the precisely oriented, symmetrical erosion patterns observed in the controlled environment of the water tunnel. The assumption of a single prevailing wind simply does not hold up to scrutiny. The Sphinx's weathering is a far more intricate story than simply wind erosion. Its geological history, spanning millions of years, involves a complex interplay of forces, each leaving its mark on the monument. Tectonic activity. The Giza Plateau is not geologically static. Tectonic shifts and fault lines have created significant cracks and fissures within the Sphinx, features entirely absent from the smooth, homogeneous clay of the NYU model. These cracks, documented by geologists like Colin Reeder, significantly influence weathering patterns. Groundwater intrusion and salt exfoliation. The lower portions of the Sphinx, closer to the ancient water table, have been subjected to groundwater wicking. This process draws water up through the porous limestone, carrying dissolved salts. As the water evaporates, the salts crystallize, exerting pressure on the rock and causing it to flake and crumble, a process known as salt exfoliation. This is a major factor in the Sphinx's deterioration, particularly evident in the lower body and pores. Rainfall and runoff. Although rainfall is relatively infrequent in the Giza Desert today, historical records and geological evidence suggest that periods of more intense rainfall occurred in the past. These events would have contributed to erosion through surface runoff, carving channels, and further shaping the monument in ways not accounted for in the unidirectional flow of the experiment. The makeup of the rock. The experiment failed to account for the different rock hardness that is present at Giza. The bottom and top are harder, while the middle is a softer rock. The NYU experiment fundamentally misrepresents the geology of the Sphinx. It depicts the head as a single, isolated, harder inclusion embedded within a softer surrounding material. In reality, the hard, resistant limestone that forms the Sphinx's head is part of a continuous stratum that extends across the entire Giza Plateau. This same layer was extensively quarried by the ancient Egyptians to provide the massive blocks used to construct the Great Pyramid, a testament to its durability and extent. Geological surveys, core samples, and the visible evidence of quarrying all confirm this. The Sphinx was carved down into this pre-existing layered geological formation, a crucial fact that invalidates the experiment's basic premise. Wind-sculpted rock formations, known as yardangs, are a real geological phenomenon. In arid environments with consistent unidirectional winds and specific rock compositions, they can sometimes resemble animals or other recognizable shapes. However, the specific conditions required for the formation of a yardang resembling the NYU model's outcome, a small, isolated, hard inclusion within a much larger mass of softer, easily erodible material, coupled with unwavering unidirectional wind, are not representative of the Giza Plateau's complex geological history and variable wind patterns. While a yardang might have existed in the general area before the Sphinx enclosure was quarried, it could not have resembled the final form of the Sphinx, and crucially, it would have been removed during the quarrying process. The NYU research, while scientifically sound within its own limited scope, offers no credible explanation for the origin of the Great Sphinx of Giza. The overwhelming weight of archaeological and geological evidence, accumulated over centuries of study, points unequivocally to the Sphinx as a monument deliberately conceived, planned, and meticulously carved by ancient Egyptian artisans. The quarrying marks, The alignment with other Old Kingdom structures, the geological layering, and the complex history of weathering all contradict the simplistic wind-made narrative. If you like this video, then buckle up because you're going to love our next adventure. Get ready to discover the mystery of the bizarre ear tablets found near the Great Sphinx of Giza. That's right, we're diving deep into the ancient Egyptian practice of creating these strange votive offerings, also known as ear stelae, during the New Kingdom period. We'll explore their possible connection to the god Horemheb, the Sphinx himself, and even other deities like Ptah. We're talking history, archaeology, and the hidden meaning behind these fascinating artifacts. Were they used for prayers? What secrets do the inscriptions hold? Join us next time as we uncover the secrets of ancient Egypt and these unique ear tablets. You won't want to miss it.
It wasn't just another hole in the ground. This shaft held secrets of ancient Egyptian civilization and their religious practices that were only beginning to be uncovered. It's fascinating to think that this place was just sitting there, known since the late 19th century but not getting much love from explorers. They were all dazzled by the pyramids and Sphinx.
I don't know how they did it. All I know is they did it. I don't think anybody knows how they did it, how they lifted those stones, how they brought them up to that level. I think we're looking, again, at a lost technology.
But as it turns out, the Osiris shaft had its own tale to tell, one that required a bit of patience to fully appreciate. Enter the 1990s and things started to change. That's when Zahi Hawass, a name many of you might recognize, took the reins and decided it was time to give the Osiris shaft the attention it deserved. Under his guidance, a thorough exploration began, peeling back the layers of its complex architecture. What they found was a marvel, a glimpse into the depth of Egyptian religious thought and engineering prowess. But getting to the heart of the Osiris shaft wasn't a walk in the park. The team faced the massive challenge of pumping out water that had filled its lower levels, especially the third level that was partially underwater.
But what happened a few years ago, that the water began to rise in front of the Sphinx temple outside. Then I was really afraid that this water can damage the Sphinx.
Imagine the effort it took to bring in modern pumping equipment and clear out all that water just to access the deepest secrets of the shaft. Its 3 levels diving deep into the earth turned out to be a fascinating puzzle of architecture, burial customs, and hidden treasures. The first thing that caught their eyes was the shaft's design itself. It's a marvel of ancient engineering, with each level serving its own mysterious purpose. Down at the very bottom, a large stone sarcophagus sits in a chamber that's partly underwater, painting a vivid picture of the ancient Egyptian underworld right there beneath our feet. It's as if they built their own version of the afterlife hidden deep in the Giza plateau. But then there's the second level with its 6 empty burial shafts. Imagine the archaeologists' surprise finding them all vacant. It sparks so many questions. Were they plundered, or were they never meant to hold anything in the first place? This level offers a glimpse into the burial practices and rituals of the time, even if it leaves us guessing about some of the details. Despite the lack of inscriptions, a kind of ancient billboard that could have told us exactly who made this and when, the bits and pieces found throughout the shaft speak volumes. Pottery shards, fragments of stone vessels, and other small artifacts serve as breadcrumbs leading us back in time, suggesting that the Osiris shaft might hail from the New Kingdom period. It's like detective work, where every clue helps build a case for when this incredible structure came into being. But perhaps the most touching finds were the mummified remains tucked away in the smaller chambers around that central sarcophagus. It's one thing to study the grand monuments and temples, but it's another to come face to face with the people themselves. Analyzing these remains gives us a rare peek into the lives of those who once walked the streets of ancient Egypt, what they ate, how they lived, and maybe even how they died. Let's talk about Osiris for a moment. He's not your average deity, he's the ancient Egyptian god of the afterlife, death, and rebirth. The story goes that Osiris was betrayed by his brother Set, leading to a saga of death, dismemberment, and a resurrection that sounds like it came straight out of a blockbuster movie. His wife Isis put him back together and brought him back to life. Osiris's story is a cornerstone of Egyptian mythology, embodying the eternal cycle of life, death, and rebirth. And guess what? The Osiris shaft is like a 3-dimensional tribute to this epic tale. Down in the depths of the shaft, there's this chamber filled with water that's believed to represent the underworld. Imagine standing there in front of a large stone sarcophagus that's meant to symbolize Osiris's tomb. It's not just a tomb, it's a symbol of his journey through death and his role as the ruler of the afterlife. But why build such a place? Well, one theory is that the Osiris shaft was a venue for initiation rites. Think of it as a spiritual boot camp where participants would undergo trials, symbolizing death and rebirth, much like Osiris did. These rites weren't just for show. They were believed to impart secret knowledge and bring about a spiritual transformation in the initiates. Some even speculate that the shaft's design was guided by the stars, aligning with celestial bodies that the ancient Egyptians associated with Osiris and the afterlife. It's as if the shaft was a bridge between Earth and the heavens, a physical representation of the soul's journey after death. What's truly fascinating is how the physical structure of the Osiris shaft and the artifacts found within echo the ancient texts like the Pyramid texts and the Book of the Dead. These texts offer a glimpse into the Egyptian view of the afterlife, complete with references to water, boats, and, yes, the significance of sarcophagi. It's like the shaft is a stone-bound version of these ancient scrolls, a tangible connection to the beliefs and rituals of a civilization long gone. Buried deep within the limestone bedrock, the Osiris shaft, it's a three-level maze that masterfully blends practicality with a touch of the mystical. Let's dive into what makes the architecture and structure of the Osiris shaft so fascinating. First off, the way this shaft was designed and built is nothing short of amazing. It shows just how advanced the ancient Egyptians were in their planning and building techniques. The precision with which they carved out these chambers from the bedrock really makes you wonder about their deep understanding of the earth beneath them. At the entrance, you're greeted by a rectangular opening that starts your descent into the depths. This isn't just a hole in the ground, it's a carefully carved vertical shaft dropping down about 10 meters. Imagine the effort it took to remove all that limestone, using tools made from harder stones and metals, and even ropes and wooden scaffolding. It's a testament to their engineering skills. The first chamber you hit is pretty modest. No flashy decorations or treasures, but its simplicity might have been the point. It's like a waiting room or a space for getting ready for something more profound down below, maybe even for some kind of purification rites. But the real intrigue starts when you go deeper to the second level. Here, there's another shaft leading down another 20 meters, and this chamber is a bit more complex. These shafts could have been meant for actual burials, or perhaps as a representation of the journey to the afterlife. The third level is where things get even more dramatic. You go down another shaft, and this time you're 30 meters below the surface. Here lies a large stone sarcophagus, right in the center of the chamber. This isn't just a burial place, it's a symbolic representation of Osiris's tomb. The fact that this chamber is partially filled with water from the natural aquifer adds to the mystique, tying it to themes of rebirth and purification in Egyptian mythology. Graham Hancock is a name that often sparks lively discussions whenever ancient civilizations are mentioned.
There are huge corporations that have very large investments in a particular path of technology. Sure. For somebody to come up with a whole new path of technology, it's very threatening to them.
Known for his captivating books like Fingerprints of the Gods and Magicians of the Gods, Hancock is no stranger to controversy, especially with his theories that challenge the mainstream archaeological narrative. Today, let's dive into how Hancock's unconventional ideas might shed new light on the mysterious Osiris shaft.
They fell there, something like that.
All of them?
Yeah, all
Over
of them.
many
and
years?
somehow buried themselves under the topsoil.
At the core of Hancock's theories is the tantalizing notion of a lost advanced civilization. This isn't just any civilization, but one that supposedly predates all known history, equipped with knowledge in astronomy, architecture, and mathematics that far exceeds what we'd expect from our ancient ancestors. Hancock might say the Osiris shaft, with its intricate design and possible astronomical alignments, serves as a kind of time capsule from this sophisticated society. Could it be that this ancient marvel is much older than we think, or that it was built with wisdom handed down from this enigmatic civilization? Hancock's fascination doesn't stop at architecture. He's also keenly interested in how these ancient structures align with the stars. While he hasn't specifically pinpointed the Osiris shaft in his star maps, it's easy to imagine it fitting neatly into his grand scheme of things. Could the shaft's orientation hint at a connection to celestial events or constellations tied to Osiris and the themes of death and rebirth? Hancock's work suggests that many of Egypt's ancient monuments are part of a larger cosmic blueprint, and the Osiris shaft might just be another piece of that puzzle. One of the more dramatic elements of Hancock's theories involves global cataclysms, particularly those caused by comet impacts around 12,800 to 11,600 years ago, during what's known as the Younger Dryas. He proposes that these catastrophic events could have wiped out the advanced civilization he theorizes about. So, when we look at the water filling the lower levels of the Osiris shaft, Hancock might see it as more than just groundwater seepage. He could interpret it as a deliberate nod to the ancient deluges, a symbol of the world-altering floods that his hypothesized civilization endured. Do you think there have been multiple ancient cataclysms?